Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. And now, celebrating 15 years of broadcasting, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, whether you're tuning in on the radio dial here in Mississippi at WYAD 94.1 FM. We welcome you all back to our program. Those tuning in through our online affiliates around the world, including our iHeartRadio family, and those tuning in through Conversations Radio Network. We're glad to have all of you with us as well. You know, I was just saying to our next guest, because of the fact that we talk so much online and that we've had our occasional conversations and we finally got a chance to meet in person 2 years ago, Makeda Smith is someone who I'm glad to call not only a colleague but also a friend. She's a celebrity publicist, as well as an individual that many of you have gotten to know because of her dance brand Flying Over 50. Well, she's making her very first appearance here on Conversations Live today to talk to us not only about the journey as she's celebrating 30 years in the entertainment business, what it's been like for her to do that, and also what it's been like for her to build her own brand and to be the face now, to be the person out front who's getting the attention. If you're just now hearing about Makeda, we'll tell you at the end of our segment how you can stay connected with her. But Makeda, hello to you and welcome to the program.
Hi, Cyrus. How are you? I'm so excited to be on your show.
Well, look, I'm excited to have you on. And before we get into our conversation, I want to publicly say to you how much I have appreciated your support of Conversations Live over the years. You have given me some memorable conversations through your clients. I really do appreciate that. So it's been an honor to be able to work with you, of course, behind the show. And now, of course, to have you on the show is great. You are celebrating, as I'm celebrating 15 years this year on the radio. You're celebrating 30 years in the entertainment industry yourself, Makeda. What has that journey been like for you to reflect on, not only what you've been able to do, but also the lives you've been able to touch?
It's been such a long journey, and honestly, there's so much packed in those 30 years. I've forgotten a lot of it, and sometimes memories just pop up in my head out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh, wow. So it's really crazy because it's just been, I don't know, 30 years is when you think about it, 30 years nonstop is a long time.
It's a long time, right. And I think the other side of that is not only, of course, the clients you've represented, Makeda, but also, of course, the relationships you have formed, not only with them, but also with the media who you work with. Do you still have those wow moments when you are able to reflect on not only what you've been able to do for your own brand, but what you've been able to do for your clients?
Yes, especially what I've been able to do for my clients. Sometimes it's really interesting to me because sometimes I'll see a client like years later, like sometimes decades later, and they'll say, oh, I never forgot how you had me interview with such and such or got me on the cover of such and such or booked me on the cover of such and such, and that was like a highlight of my life. And I honestly, most of the time, don't even remember booking them on that particular media outlet because I said it's just been so much. I just do things and then I let it go and I move on to the next. So it's almost like planting seeds, and then when those trees grow up and you walk past them later and you forget, oh, I planted a seed there. So it's like it's really an extreme and divine blessing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you used that metaphor of planting seeds because I want to talk to you about when the seed was planted for you, Makeda, that this is what you wanted to do. As I know, the entertainment industry is not easy. It's definitely not forgiving. It's not for the faint of heart, and especially for women. Women have definitely had a rough go of it. What is it that made you say, I want to enter this exciting, crazy world?
Well, I knew I wanted to be in the world of public relations. I made that decision when I was like 16, and I was going through those. Well, back in the day, we used to go through career books in high school to figure out what you wanted to be when you grew up.
Right.
And I remember coming across public relations, which I had no knowledge of it, and it just struck a chord in me. So I actually went to school. I went to Boston University I got my first degree in public relations. Then I attended school at USC in the management management communications program and got a master's. But I really, at that time when I was in academia, I had no knowledge of entertainment PR. I thought I was going to end up maybe in the nonprofit arena. But what happened was I ended up taking a non-paid internship at a PR company, and that blossomed into me becoming that gentleman's personal assistant, which blossomed into me going to another agency, which blossomed into me, going to another agency, and all of that introduced me to like the crazy, wacky, wonderful, treacherous world of PR, which I never learned about in college. So it kind of happened by fluke, but once I was in it, I was in it.
Yeah. For sure. And that leads me to this question. How have you been able to stay in it, Makeda? Because as I mentioned to you before we began the segment, there have been so many people who have come and gone. I think about even in the 15 years that I've been doing radio, there are so many people who was in broadcasting that either, or they're not doing it anymore, or who's someone who was a guest who was doing something at a particular time, and now they're not doing that anymore. So I'm like, okay. What do you think has been the key to your longevity in the industry?
That's wow. I really have to give it to the grace of God, Goddess. Okay, that's where I have to get spiritual on you, because I don't know how I have been able to sustain myself in this industry for so long. I did it as a single mom. I raised 2 daughters doing it, and it's like amazing that I'm still here. And all I can attribute it to is faith, which always sounds so corny. You hear people talk about faith, or just believe. But it sounds corny, but it's really that simple, but it's not simple at all. But that's what I attribute it to. When I started my agency 30 years ago, 2 things. People told me I would never survive. One, because I wanted to cater to black clients, and now 30 years later I'm considered an urban entertainment specialist. 30 years ago there was no word titled urban entertainment specialist, so people were like, you're never going to survive. The second thing I did, I wanted to work from home because I wanted to raise my children. And people literally told me if I didn't get an office in Hollywood, no one would hire me and no one would take me seriously. And here it is 30 years later, and everybody works from home, or everybody wishes they could work from home.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's been a tremendous journey, but I have to attribute it to faith, because there have been very, very, very dark hours, and in those dark hours you have to continue to see the light even when there's no light there, because there's always light there. So I hope I didn't go out and go too crazy on you, but that's my that makes perfect sense. And I think, it's the truth, and I think that's the big thing. And I think it's the truth of you. That's the other thing that I knew I wanted to talk to you about in this conversation, Makeda, because I can't wait another 30 years to have you on again. So I said, let me get it all out this time. So just in case she won't come back, I would at least have asked this question. No, I'll always come back. I can't believe this enough talking. I will always come back. I promise. It's about to be too big to have me on anyway, Cyrus.
Oh, no, that'll never happen. But I want to talk about courage for a moment, and it may actually go back to the faith aspect for you, because you are known not only, of course, as an entertainment, publicist. You're known not only, of course, for what you do with your brand Flying Over 50, but you are not afraid to address issues using social media that you feel as though need to be addressed. You have the courage to do that. Where does that courage come from? Does that also come with the experience of what you've done, or is that just a part of who Makeda is?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think the courage comes from the faith. So I think they're just intertwined. Okay. And then the courage part, I have to say this, and it might sound kind of corny, but I was born in L.A., but I was raised in Chicago. And Chicago, the energy of Chicago comes with a certain kind of bravado, and I think having that has given me the sustenance to survive out here in Hollywood. Okay. So I think that's part of it as well. I think it's rooted in that, and I hate to use the word gangster element because some people take gangster the wrong way, but I take gangster in the highest form of the word in terms of a person who has courage and goes for what they want. But I say that in the highest sense. I don't say that in the low sense.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, I get it. And your tribe appreciates that about you, and they know they're going to get that from you. We're going to talk more about courage as we transition into Flying Over 50, Makeda. But I want to say, for those who are just tuning in, either on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. We're excited to welcome the one and only Makeda Smith to our program today. She's not only a celebrity publicist, but also she is the founder of the dance brand Flying Over 50, which, I first saw you blogging about this on Facebook. Then when I got more active on Instagram, I started following your videos there, and it's thanks to you, Makeda. I have to also give credit that I found out about some great artist music thanks to your videos, with Flying Over 50. So talk to us about that. I mean, it's one thing for you to have established yourself in the entertainment industry. How did you make the decision and the transition from going behind the scenes to being literally front and center?
I think I was kind of pushed to front and center, and I really didn't see it coming. And I have to tell you, it's a different kind of thing being front and center.
Right.
because when you're behind the scenes, you get to tell clients what they need to do, and you get to fuss at them and say just do it. But then when you're telling you have to do that stuff like interviewing with you.
Right.
Interviewing with you and writing blogs, and I'm like, oh my God, these are the things I've made my clients do with no mercy over the years. This is like payback.
Yeah, right.
It's so much work. It takes so much courage, and I don't know. It's just really a lot to it. But I got pushed. I never imagined that I was going to be, pushed to the forefront, and I am. And I never would imagine I was going to be pushed to the forefront for doing something like, of all things in the whole wide world, pole dancing. If someone had told me this 20 years ago, I would have slapped them across the room. I would never have believed it. I would never. How. Mm-hmm.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say, how in the movies, back in the day, you used to watch the movies and the gypsy would sit in front of you with the crystal ball, and then they would show you your picture. Yeah, so there was the gypsy sitting in front of me with a crystal ball. And she would say, ooh, I see you on a pole with 9-inch heels. I'd have been like, you are crazy on drugs, and you are really a gypsy who has no clue what you're talking about.
Right. And yet here you are, and you've been featured internationally, not as a publicist, but as a pole priestess, as you've been referred to. I mean,
it's the craziest thing, right?
Well, I wouldn't say it. See, that's the funny thing. It doesn't seem, because I've gotten to know you, it doesn't seem crazy. But what I will say, it does feel like, because, and you can tell me, because I've talked to, I'm not a singer, so I can't sing, but I'm always fascinated in talking to singers about what it's like to be up on stage. And one of the things they say to me that I think about with you, which is what I want to ask you about, is that it's like they go into a whole nother world. Is that kind of like what it's like for you? Because it seems like you kind of enter your own world when you're on that pole.
Oh my God, Cyrus, that's so true. That's why I have a name. Like I have an alter ego name for when I'm dancing. Her name is Sheba, which is S-H-E with the capital B-A. Ba is an Egyptian word, so it's Sheba. And it's the weirdest thing because you really do enter another dimension. You enter another space, and you channel that creative energy. You become a vessel for the creative energy. It's the most amazing thing. It's like I've always appreciated artists because I've represented artists literally now for 30 years. But now putting myself in the forefront as an artist, it opens you up to even wider and deeper appreciation for creativity and art.
Yeah. Yeah. Could you have imagined that this part of your life, flying over 50, would be as empowering as it seemed to have been, but also as encouraging for other women as it has been?
I guess, like, okay, if I'm like in a helicopter and I'm looking down and I'm looking at the path of my life, the many roads and winding turns and curves, I could see from that perspective how it led up to here, but being down in like 3 dimension and winding around these curves and roads and not having that peripheral view, that aerial view, no, I never would have imagined it. I always imagined getting old as getting old. Like you sit down and you just get old and the world just ends. I remember like in my 20s thinking like, oh my God, life is over when you turn 50. Like, 50, 60, you're just like really a senior citizen. And that's so not true now. When you turn 50, it's a whole new life. It's a whole nother world. It's a whole better world because you've gathered all those experiences of the first 50 years, and now you're able to flow and navigate this plane on a whole nother level. I remember in my 30s, one of my mentors told me, she was turning 50, and she was doing this huge birthday celebration. And I was like, what is there to celebrate? You're turning 50. And she said, you'll see. When you turn 50, you turn a corner, life changes, and everything gets better than you could have ever imagined. And it's so true. It really is true. Wow. Sounds crazy, but it's really true.
Yeah, and you stepped it up. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to add one more thing, and that's the thing. That's the thing I want women to know, because particularly as women, we're what's the word I want to use? We are made to feel bad for aging. We don't look forward to aging. Society for the most part kicks us to the side. And it's so not true. We are just hitting a peak the older we get. And if women know that and embrace that and see that, the world's going to be like a way better place.
Yeah. We were talking about your clients and how, some of them would come up to you and applaud what you've done for them, and you made the comment about some of them you don't even remember doing those things for. When you look at the pictures of yourself, when you look at the videos of yourself, does that person look familiar to you?
The pictures and video of myself now or from years ago?
While you are performing as part of Flying Over 50, when you look at those videos, does that look like a person that you recognize?
That's an interesting question, because when I go back and watch my dance videos, a lot of times they don't seem like me. So that's why I know I've become like a vessel and I'm channeling energy.
Yeah. I was curious about that, because I would notice even in some of the videos, Makeda, where you would be around other women, and it's, I've heard that saying, dance like no one is watching, and again, you seem to be in your own little vibe. There's no comparison. It doesn't seem like, is that part of the confidence, again, you built over the years, being comfortable enough with your skin, with who you are, that you're comfortable with whatever you're able to do?
I think so, but there's an interesting aspect to my dancing, and this again gets like a little metaphysical, like ooh.
Okay.
But ever since I was probably maybe in my 20s, maybe 20s, 30s, or whatever, in the back of my mind, somewhere in my consciousness, I always had this ideal of me as a temple priestess. Like people say, well, who were you, or what did you do in the past life? When people used to ask me, like especially in metaphysical circles, holistic circles, people say, well, who do you think you were in the past life? When you meditate, what comes to you? In the past life, I always felt like I was a dancer, like I was a temple priestess. But that that never manifested in this realm. It was just something that was in my consciousness. Once I started dancing, that temple priestess made herself known to me. So when I dance, I become that ancient aspect of myself.
Wow. And so do you find that because now that more and more people know who you are, and it's funny how things kind of interrelate, because I think, for some people, we all have slashes, behind our names or in front of our names, and some people know us for certain things. As people find out about you as a pole priestess, as they find out about what you've been able to do and the attention that you have garnered from around the world from publications and outlets, do you hope that empowers them to not to put limitations on themselves, Makeda?
Yes, that's why I call my brand Flying Over 50, because it's flying over the age of 50, but it's also flying over the speed limit of 50, and it's also about flying, and it's also about going over whatever the norm is, because there really are no limits. The only limits are the limits we put on ourselves. Other than that, there really are no limits. And I still feel like I put limits on myself, like trying to, put myself out there in terms of doing interviews, in terms of blogging daily, in terms of exposing myself as a dancer. Like sometimes I get ready to post and I'm like, oh, my God, why am I sharing this? And then when I share it, someone hits me with how they were inspired by it or how they needed that or how that fed their spirit. And then I'm like, well, that's why I had to share it.
Yeah.
So you have to keep pushing yourself past your own limits, which is an ongoing progress. I tell everyone, and this is something else I want to say, in terms of doing publicity for people and having worked with entertainers and artists and celebrities, a lot of people, I think, feel like there's a destination. Like they want to be on a specific TV show, or they want to sell a certain amount of records, or they want to make a certain amount of money. And they get caught up in the destination. It is not about the destination. It is about the journey. It is about enjoying every single aspect of the journey. In terms of my own personal journey, I may have thought that the destination was, running my agency and then just sitting down and retiring one day. But now I understand there really is no destination. It's just a journey. Life takes you on constant flows and rivers and around curves and up and down, and it's all just a journey. So if you can just relax in that journey, everything else around you becomes relaxed as well, and it alleviates stress. Trying to get to a destination, that creates stress. Understanding that it's just a journey and you're just flowing through it, there's no stress.
Wow, that's beautiful, beautiful. And beautiful conversation with you, Makeda, as I knew it was going to be. Again, everyone, Makeda Smith has been our guest. Makeda, can you believe that was a half hour? Where does the time go?
I love you so much. I've been teasing from ear to ear. You are just like, I just love you so much.
Well, look, I love you too. I'm excited that we have been able to work together. Like I said, I'm so excited to call you a friend. Makeda is a celebrity publicist, everyone, as well as the founder of FlyingOver50.com. So make sure you all are headed over to her website. It's FlyingOver50.com is the website. You can be able to see her videos, read her blog, stay connected with her there. Makeda, I'm so proud of you and all that you've been able to do, and I know that there's only more to come, and looking forward to our next conversation together.
I promise we will definitely have a next conversation, Cyrus Webb. I love you so much.
Love you too, my friend. Love you too. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. If you all came in late and missed part of the conversation with Makeda, don't worry. Thanks to our online friends, you all can catch the replay right after we go off the air. The link is already available through our social media sites. So head over to Facebook.com/CyrusWebb or go to Twitter.com/CyrusWebb. If you click on the link there, you can listen to the show completely for free and share with your friends from there too. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Make sure you take out time to enjoy some good music as well as a great book. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live today. You all make it a great one.